And so it's always about you guys and how we can serve you in a better way. And so who here has been to other chiropractors or chiropractic offices before this one?
Yes.
So one of my questions for you is this, is when you walked into this office, did this office feel different than any other chiropractic office that you walked into?
Yes.
Okay. So one of my questions is this, how do you know you need an adjustment? Pain. Well, what happens if I have a knife sticking out of my leg and I'm in pain? Do I need an adjustment? Okay, so I don't need an adjustment. What happens if I have chest pain? Do I need an adjustment?
Maybe.
Could be.
Now, if I don't have pain, does that mean I don't need an adjustment?
No.
Wait a second, this is confusing to me. So we're having dinner, right? We're around the table here, we're having this conversation about how do you know? So like, let's say that I've never been to a chiropractor before. How would you know that I need an adjustment? I feel great.
Maybe the way you're walking, or
How we move.
yeah,
Okay.
headaches, things like that.
Headaches, symptoms, yeah, certain symptoms may. What does an adjustment do?
Alignment.
Okay.
Takes pressure off nerves.
So if we take pressure off the nerves, what happens?
No refer pain.
So it could get rid of symptoms like pain, right? Pain is a big motivator. I agree with it. So we're going to talk about neck rehabilitation tonight. And so I want to make sure, my goal is always to be able to have conversations with patients so that we were all on the same level. And so I want to say about 12 years ago, holy smokes, Chuck, good to see you. Sign in, there's paperwork up there. About 10, maybe 12 years ago, I was doing a continuing education with the Texas Back Institute. And they told me that you guys weren't smart enough to understand what I'm teaching you. So it was my goal to teach the youngest person on the planet all the things that we're going to talk about tonight and see if they would get it. And so far, the youngest person that I have that can get what we're about to talk about is 7 years old. And so you guys have some pretty good knowledge. You're giving me some pretty good answers. So I want to talk about neck rehab, but what I want to make sure is that when you come out of the workshops that you have it. All right? There's no big mystery to healthcare. They try to pretend that there's a mystery to healthcare, but there's not. So when you get the knowledge and you take it here, like, we have to get certified. And I love what Deb said, she's like, I'm not here for the t-shirt. But what happens is you get this information and then you take it home with you. And inevitably, like my daughter, we dropped her off at college today and she says, yeah, I need 2 lacrosse balls, I need some biofreeze, I need a little third spray, and that kind of stuff. And I need some kinesio tape. And I said, well, what do you need all that for? She said, well, I fix my roommates.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone she doesn't have a license, right? So she tapes people. She does all these kinds of things. She's taped me before. And so I want to go through neck rehabilitation so that when, if something comes up and you go, what did Dr. Eric say? He said something. He said something that, oh yeah, if I get that lacrosse ball out, that might work. That would work. Somebody would tell me. Then you do it and you go, it worked. I like it. And then, here, try this lacrosse ball. Husband, wife, sister, mother, brother, pastor. You know what I mean? Oh, that's not working. Maybe you need to get checked. All right, we'll talk about all what that means because then you guys start to figure out you. And if you figure you out, you need us less, right? And then we're really working on the same playing field, which is really what we want, okay? We want to work on the same playing field. So, all right, so let's talk neck rehab. So what's in a neck? All right, and I show you guys x-rays consistently because I want you to work with me on your x-rays. I know where my x-rays are at. I want to make sure you know where your x-rays are at. So posture is priority. And so we know that you started out in a certain posture. We should have taken some iPad pictures of you, and we want to see where you are because no different than what Deb said. If I walked in the room and I was like this, it's not right. And so you can't quite figure out what it is. And if I watch somebody walk and I watch them walk like this, I go, probably cerebral palsy. If I watch someone walk like this, I would say probably hip replacements is what we look at, degenerative hips. If I watch someone walk like this, dementia. Watch someone walk like this, Parkinson's. Yeah, so you start to pick up those signs. And so posture is a priority. And a lot of people say, yeah, I got a shoulder, I got to get a surgery, and I'll go ahead and say, raise your arm up, and they go, yeah, see, I got to get that surgery. And I'll come up and I'll press right here, and they go, oh no, yeah, I'm good. Because I know how to read posture. I know how to read 360 different degrees of posture. So posture is priority. Head over shoulders, right? That's what we want. So, and I'm going to show you some of that. I want to show you the evolution of what that looks like. Curve at 40 degrees. So you can see that nice arc in there, right? You see that curve, those bones curving? And you got to think that God was pretty smart. He went and put that 15 to 20 pound head. If you're Dr. Ken, you have a 30 pound head. He's got all his brains in there. Oh, hi, Dr. Ken. Let's talk about that. So when that 30 pound head is bouncing here, it bounces on that nice curve. That's a pretty good shock absorber. If anybody's built anything, and you go, like we drove down to Philadelphia, and we see all these bridges suspending tons and tons of weight, and cars and so forth, and they're all built in arcs, right? So that's what we want. So 40 degrees, normal head weights are at 10 to 15 pounds, unless you're Dr. Ken. So how many millimeters forward is your head? Do you know? Anybody here?
I don't remember.
You should know. So
I've
I
seen it,
remember.
but I don't remember.
Yeah. So that's one of the questions. So you got to go write myself a little note. You know what? Because now you're playing at a level that's, when you come to our office, you're already playing at a level because you walk in here and you go, this place is different. So we want to play at a much higher level. Okay. And then we start to build the confidence, and I'll show you some really, really intense cases tonight. That when you build the confidence of going, oh, it's a headache, is it cancer, is it a tumor? No, I'm just going to get adjusted. And you have more faith in your own body than you have in an Advil or a cortisone shot or something along those lines. So know how far forward your head is. 2 years ago, I realized my balance was off, things weren't going right. I said, let's take an X-ray. It was 30 millimeters forward. I'm down to 9. 9 is pretty good for me as a kid. At 16, 17 years old, diagnosed with arthritis in his neck. So arthritis is not a disease of old people, it's a disease of dysfunction. How many degrees of neck curve do you have? Okay, so these are things you want to know. You're shooting for 40, right? You're shooting for 40 degrees in that curve because that's textbook normal. What phase of how many phases are there, by the way? And you would have got this in your patient report, and you had that little overhead. Hopefully you went through one of those. And we actually showed you phase 1. Phase 2, phase 3, okay? So phase 1 is out of alignment. Phase 2, you put pressure on a bone, that bone will grow. You'll see the spur on the film. Phase 3, it actually fuses, then we can't fix that. So phase 1 out of alignment. Phase 2, you see the actual arthritis on the films. Phase 3, it's fused. How much did your head weigh? So when we took those first posture pictures of you, you saw exactly how much did your head weigh. We got the actual anatomy of what your head weighed, and then we showed you how much weight you're carrying around. I'll never forget, when I was about 14 years old, I used to work in a butcher shop, and 14-year-old, they go, you're doing all the hard work. So they put me in a freezer, and they would say, go bring us the 50-pound carton of chicken up. And I'd walk up, 14 years old, all of about 110 pounds, and the thing weighed almost as much as me, and I'd struggle. I'd try to get it up there, and I would do that for like 6 hours a day. And there was someone I worked with, named Frank, and Frank would look at me and just shake his head as I'm sweating and dying. And finally one day I just said, Frank, what? What? He said, son, you want to work harder or you want to work smarter? I said, I don't know, show me. So he walks back there and I said, I got to see this 7-year-old man who his posture was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And he came rolling by that cart with about 150 pounds of chicken, that cart rolling right by me. And I was like, I'm going to work smarter. Didn't matter where I worked, I always learned something, right? So do you want to work harder or do you want to work smarter, right? Do you want to get 100% of that brain force through your body, through your feet, with the opportunity to heal? Or do you want to go ahead and say, I only need 50% of my brain force, that's all. And if you went driving with me today to Philadelphia, there was probably 50% of the people, and you had about 20% of the brain force, the way they were driving all over the place. It was crazy. Okay, so it's really simple. What part of the body does the nervous system control?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. That's a hard thing to really rely on. We just a couple weeks ago went down to Florida to work on my mother-in-law who had a stroke. And so as we went down, we checked her coming off the stroke, and she was 90% good when we checked her. But she was vomiting, and she was dizzy, and she was sleeping 12 hours. And what was happening was she was so over-medicated. When we actually checked our meds with her primary, they mistakenly had prescribed 8 times the amount of medication.
Whoa.
So we took her off, yeah, she was lucky to be alive. And so we took her off 2 of the medications, and she came back and she's completely normal. Now she's, and if you know, when you reach the age of 70, I think your whole life is like doctors or something like that. And so she keeps going to all these different doctors that are on the list, and every doctor wants to give her a new drug. So she has less faith in her body, right? That's made it 70 years down the road with very little interference, right? We go ahead and grow and replace normally. So here's all the things that it takes care of. One of the things that blew my mind was headaches and migraines. I used to be a migraine sufferer, and now that I've gotten adjusted and straightened my neck out, I don't get migraines anymore. It's the only thing that will make me want to take drugs. You know, I've been through some of the worst injuries on the planet, and I just use ice for those. Allergies. Took me 4 years of chiropractic adjustments. You know, 3 years down the road, I was getting adjusted, and I still had allergies. So I said, yeah, chiropractic's good. The shoulder pain's gone, the headaches are gone, my lower back pain's gone. Chiropractic's awesome for that, but not allergies. Year 4, allergies went away. I went, whoa, so that's pretty cool. You know, when we get a sore throat, a cough, you know, so my little one was coughing last night, right? So did I give her cough syrup? No, all I did was a little Vicks vapor rub. We adjusted her, put a cool mist humidifier on, and a natural cough drop right to sleep. Let her body work through it. That cough is there for a reason. She developed a fever. Did we go ahead and drug her? No, the fever is there for a good thing. That fever goes up, and that brain went in and developed that fever so that all the bacteria dies. She gets up and she's ready to go because her body is adapting well to the environment. These are all new things that you may never have heard of. Asthma. The way that I got into chiropractic is my brother back in the 70s had asthma. They tried everything. He would literally lay on the couch and wheeze for weeks at a time. And my mother in the 70s brought him to a chiropractor, and that's what got him through. Current medical treatment for neck pain and neck problems, anti-inflammatories, right? What did we just find out about non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like Advil and Aleve and all the top ones? Stomach was common because there's over 100,000 hospitalizations from stomach, but what they found out is it causes heart attacks. The FDA just came out again making strong warnings, do not take this stuff on a regular basis because the heart disease goes through the roof. What's the #1 killer in America? Cancer, probably. It's just past heart disease. #2, #3 is medicine. So correctly prescribed medicine is #3. That is not argued. You can look that up in USA Today. The Washington Post reported on that. Very common knowledge. But, once again, a lot of times we go to that pill bottle because, you know what, we've been trained to do that. This is a different kind of training. Rest and ice, that was one of the big things. And then they kind of, chiropractors kind of came steaming in back in the early 1900s and said rest is the worst thing for it. Shots and surgery, right? That's about what they have. Current chiropractic treatment, spinal alignment evaluation. We evaluate posture, range of motion, palpation, which is a fancy word for feeling around in there. X-ray, MRI, EMG. So we want to see how it really works. You know what I mean? We want to sit across the table from you and go, I can see it from here. No, move it. Let's take a picture. Let's look inside. Let's really get our hands on it. Right? There's a lot of work that gets involved in that, but we want to get in there and do that work because there's 7 segments in there. How many segments do we want to use in our neck? All 7. You know, you'd be surprised when you watch someone turn their head. Yep, I'm using my neck. No, you're not. You know, and so at what age do we lose the ability to use our spine? None. You really have to go to all these other countries. You know what I mean? Like go out to Australia, go to Africa, and go to Japan. Watch these people move. And you know what? 70, 80, 90-year-old people. We just had somebody come back from Iceland. She says, everybody, 70, 80, 90, they're walking up hills. They're crouching, they're bending, they're doing everything they want, and they don't look disabled. All right, spinal adjustment. If something is stuck, right, you should get it moving. The spinal adjustment does that. It restores that neurology back to the body. If something is moving too much and it's very unstable, we should stabilize it, right? So that's where braces and taping and those kinds of things come in. And we prescribe a tremendous amount of ice, exercise, cold laser, traction, ergonomics. We can talk about some of that. How do you know if you're out of alignment?
You feel it.
I got adjusted today. I didn't feel it.
Oh.
But you know what? I felt it afterwards. It was weird. 90% of the reason that we get adjusted, because I've been getting adjusted for almost 30 years now. And the reason, like I'll go in and I go, just check me. And then I'll go, wow, I needed that, I feel better. I didn't know I felt bad. There's always another level, right? And so how do you know that you're out of alignment? Stand up, I'll tell you. I'm gonna get a video of this because I did this with my 9-year-old. Right? So I said, Lily, do me a favor. I said, go check Sean and tell me if he's out of alignment. She looked across the table and said, Sean, stand up. And she knew right away when she looked at a high shoulder. She goes, yeah, his shoulder's high on that side, his hips are over there. At 9 years old. She puts your hands like that. That's all you need to know, right? That's enough to know. You could look in the mirror and go, oh yeah. Even though it feels good, I can see where I'm at. You can look at old pictures of you, right? And you go, ooh, am I tilting my head? Am I doing that on purpose? My wife, when I met her, she looked like this. I thought she was tilting her head, posing for the picture. It was her neck. And she constantly would self-manipulate her neck. And we fixed that. When you turn sideways, the ear hole should be where? Over the shoulder, right? Not out here. That was Lily's story. So I said, Lily, go check. And she can check. Anybody. Wouldn't that be cool if all our kids could do that? Right? Because if we took care of our kids before they got to what we got to, wouldn't they be better off? Right? And instead of giving them 96 vaccinations, how many non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, how many antibiotics, kids in America are not that healthy. So I wanted to show you like a progression, okay? And so, did I leave the date? Yeah, so 2015, can you see how forward Dawn is? So the green line is where we want her to be. And so knees are forward, hips are forward, shoulders are forward, head. Everything's out front here, okay? So I'm in front of my ankles right now. You know how exhausting that is? That's a lot of stress and pressure on the nervous system. And so here she is in 2016. See how she's coming back? And then here she is, I think this was, a couple days ago. So here we have, essentially a 3-year process, right? Whoa, you just better stop the presses right now because she's 3 years older. And as you get older, you just go in this direction, right? Is this what we're talking about? Oh, you know what? Hey, Eric, we measured you today, your GP, and yeah, you lost an inch in height. We'll see you next year. Is that normal? No, you just told me I'm degenerating, and that's okay? That's not okay. And could you imagine every year until you're 90, 100, 110, keeping the pressure off the nervous system? This is a very efficient body. Hips tilting, getting straighter, heads off to the right, just got on center, right? So we want to keep ourselves in line. That's, this was the acute year. This was really tough. She actually came in with torn meniscus in her knee, so I can appreciate that. Some headaches and neck pain, and so we fixed it all. No surgeries. Okay, so we can take a look. Good curve or bad curve? It's too straight, right? We can see that the head's way out here. All right, let's take a look. Better? So you would want to bounce on that curve. And we should be able to see that. We're not going to be radiologists, but we can see shape changes. And with this one, can you see the arthritic spur right there? Sticking off? Yeah. Because bones will grow wherever you put the weight. If you put the weight forward, the bones are alive. This isn't just bricks and mortar, it's alive. So it says, all right, if you're going to carry the weight out here, I'll build the bricks out here. I'll build calcium out here. And so if we go ahead and take the pressure off, the body goes, oh, I don't need that calcium there anymore, so I will get rid of it.
So is that actually a neck spur?
Yeah. So that's phase 2, because it's not fused together, right? This is phase 1 out of alignment, right? Can't see any arthritic spurs on this one. It takes about 15 to 30 years to grow those spurs. So if your neck's out of alignment, right? And so one of the questions I ask you, how do you know you need an adjustment, right? Well, it hurts. Well, we showed her that film, she never knew that she had an arthritic spur in there. She never had any neck pain. It wasn't even about that. It was more about headaches. So it had nothing to do with neck pain. You can't feel arthritis growing. So when people say, oh, it's arthritis, it's nonsense. It's lack of good motion. It's the nerves and skin are feeling pain from the inability to move properly. and there's a sensory component to that. So that's a little more highbrow stuff. There's kids. So, 16-year-old here. So another youngster. Let's see the age on that. 15. 18 years old. So, and this is common, right? Do we see any good curves there? Are they all, they look horrible, right? You wonder why kids are sick. If your nervous system is only functioning at 50%, there's no way that you can stay healthy. And how fast do kids heal? Like that. You know, so this kind of stuff can be fixed in like a matter of weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. So should kids get checked? Yeah, because they don't have to dedicate 3 months, 6 months, you know, a year. Studies, so these, what's out there? Patients with less than 20 degrees of curve in their neck were 18 times more likely to have neck pain. That's from the Journal of Manipulative and Physical Therapy. Random controlled study of 183 patients with neck pain over 52 weeks. Patients were either treated with adjustments, physical therapy, exercise, medical counseling, education, or drugs. The fastest recovery happened with the adjustment group. That was reported on Good Morning America, and I loved watching their medical doctor, who was their chief correspondent. From, you know, he's been around for 20 years, and he's done nothing but bash chiropractic for 20 years. And he had to go ahead and report it across from, who's the guy with the blonde hair? Gosh, I can't remember. She's been around forever. But I enjoyed that. One of the best ways that you can actually go ahead and make sure that you support your neck is when you have, if you have a sitting job, if you do any kind of long-term sitting, you really want to go ahead and support the lower back to get the neck where you want to go. The more, so if I move my lower back, that's where my neck goes. If I move my lower back, look where my neck goes. I'm doing nothing to do it. People that say, well, I'll just, when the doctor asks, I'll just do this. No, you're straining your muscles. It's not going to work. So you want to make sure you have a good back support. How do you know that you have enough back support in there? As you're sitting, you put that back support in. Once the ear holes are over the shoulders, you made it. You're there. You've got enough back support there. You know, don't try to over crank it either. You know, so that'll help you hold your adjustment, right? Because if you're carrying that 15-pound head weight, you know, versus 30 pounds. So when we hear doctors, oh, so I'm not holding my adjustment while you're carrying 30 pounds out here. You know, if I had to grab your pocketbooks and we're all walk around like this all day long, I'm pretty sure I'd tear my shoulder up. Right? But if I got to hold it here, I think I got a chance. I got a fighting chance. So good sitting posture matters, of course, chair position matters. Philip, what are you sleeping on? Okay, is it supporting the arc in your neck? Did you get measured for it? Okay, this is another thing. How much do we sleep in our lives?
Third.
1/3. If you're Roger Federer, one of the best tennis players in the world, he sleeps half of his life away. He is a 12-hour sleeper. Yeah. So I like 6, maybe 7 hours. That's, you know, but about, and Chuck's right, about 1/3 of our life. See when you're sleeping on our side, are you getting that? See how straight that spine is? That's what we want. General neck traction. So we have little rolls here, so if your neck is stubborn, so how would you know if you need a dental roll? Like if you're somebody who's a go-to, gung-ho, and you like to do the extra work, because you find that if I do a little extra work at home, it pays off. I get to save money. I'm all about that. I love saving money. I'm very, very frugal. So we have these little foam rolls that you can go ahead and do, you know, about 10 minutes worth of work every day, and just do a little stretch. So that's something that's interesting to you. You know, talk to one of the docs and say, hey, like, I want to see my X-ray. I want to see how far forward I am. How much curve do I have? Because you want to see progress, right? You want to see burnout in your life? Don't see progress. Don't know where you're at. Right? If you're just guessing through your days, right, that can be very, very frustrating. Right? So, you know, like last week we're doing the cleanse, and so I'm about 4 days in with, you know, all the cleansers, right? And I go, well, what do you notice? I think, wow, man, I'm struggling here, but I'm seeing progress here. You know, 2 belt loops already in 4 days. I can't believe it. So you're seeing progress. I get excited. As hard as it is, you're seeing progress. You won't get burned out. If you have very, very complicated neck, this is not as uncomfortable as it looks, okay? But we have something called the Gambali traction. So if we find that your neck is very stubborn, we do have this, the home device of what's called the Gambali traction. Flexibility. So very simply, we're going to have you just go ahead and just put your papers down just for a second. We're just going to run through the flexibility. And we're just going to have you look up as high as you can. And then you're going to take 2 thumbs and just go ahead and bring it right underneath your chin. give yourself about 10 to 20% push on that so that you get a little bit of stretch. And then you're just going to go ahead and hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop down. We're just going to go forward. I'm just going to pull from the back gently, 2 fingers, 10% more than where you went. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to center. And then we're just going to lean to the side and we're going to push. Good. And give it a little extra. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go here, other side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to turn, and then right up here on the cheek, we're just going to bring it a little bit over the shoulder. Yep, gently. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other side. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now go ahead and move your neck around. A little looser than what you had before. Did you find that there were some spots there that were a little stuck? Where you go, man, I could really look over the left shoulder, but gosh, that right? So we don't want to force it, but we want to realize where we're stuck, right? Because if you know that it's hard for you to look over your right shoulder, you will turn the right shoulder. And you won't use the neck properly, and it opens it up to be tighter and tighter. And so we don't want to become someone who becomes, sort of dead before it's time, right? That rigor mortis sets in, right? We think about a baby as very flexible. Think that baby can put a baby's foot right in its mouth, no problem. When you put your foot in your mouth, we have to go to the hospital, right? So we have to work on our flexibility. Okay, so I want you to think about a lacrosse ball. It is one of my favorite tools. It goes everywhere. It can go in your pocket. It can go in your car. It can go in your gym bag. And so there's Dr. Ken. That's the muscle I want you to work. Okay? So it goes from here all the way down to there. Okay? And so we studied with some of the best chiropractors in the world. Dr. Hyde from the Miami Dolphins said that all I would have to do is get them to strengthen their lower traps, and I could get their neck so strong we would avoid almost 60 to 70% of the injuries in the NFL. And most people, when we talk about the lacrosse ball, so if you've never actually flossed through this, so you can come up and put this right up against a wall, and it sticks and it's firm, and so I can move around on it. And go, oh, there's a tender spot, and then I just kind of work through that tender spot. And you saw Dr. Ken have it pinned up there. So if you get tight muscles up here, you can do the same thing, and it sticks right to it. I'm on bricks, and it's still sticking. And so, I feel a tender spot there, and I just work it out. And that's one of those things where you do that kind of pressure on it, it feels incredible. So working the lower traps and the upper traps. So if you have tight upper traps, work your lower traps and you activate them, you're going to start to notice, oh, they're relaxing up there. I really like that. Now what? Now your tests. You got to know you. It's amazing when, my patients go to other chiropractors, they move, they go to Pittsburgh and so forth, and they bring our information with them. Those chiropractors are blown away. They want to know what we're doing. Hey, the patient walked in and said they were 4 millimeters forward, they had a 35-degree curve. It was 12 degrees, it's gotten better. They have all their x-rays to prove it. We put a lot of pressure on a lot of other chiropractors out there, because they go, yeah, we're doing the work. Know your ranges of motion. How good are your ranges of motion? Those performance evaluations that you're doing when we're watching you move, we want to see them catapulting and really skyrocketing. Know your postures. Just like I was able to show you Dawn's posture, through the last 3 years, your posture must be getting better. If it is not getting better, that's not okay. Not okay. And because it's the easiest way to check and find out how's my alignment. Gait, how you move. Okay, so if you're marching, doctor, yep, I'm still staying on the line, and you walk across the room. What does that tell you? Does anybody know?
You're out of alignment.
Your information, right? from the brain to the feet, there's an interruption, there's an alignment issue, and so the message is not getting through. The message is wrong, right? The feet are going, it's all good down here. And you're walking across the room with your eyes closed, which means that you're relying on your eyes, not good enough. If you rely on your eyes take a picture, I know the wall's right there. I can close my eyes here, if there's a chair here, I could probably just about walk through here because I've already taken the picture. I don't need my eyes to do that. The eyes have already taken the picture. If you ever go up a flight of stairs, try watching every step as you do it. You're going to trip. Your nervous system knows where the steps are. Right. Pay attention to what gets better when your neck gets adjusted. It's amazing what a short-term memory we have. And we really forget. I mean, I've seen this so often. I was at the end of a 12-month program with a patient, and he goes, I don't know if I got that much better. And I said, well, remember when you jumped that snowmobile and you ripped the groin muscles off? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. And I said, do your feet go numb anymore? He goes, no, I can cycle all day long. I goes, wow, I really forgot about that. You know, we forget. So remember what gets better because it's important. Because when the emergency hits you, what's the first thing you want to do? We panic, right? And with panic, we go towards what we've been trained. If you watch TV, what we're being trained is that everything's an emergency. Pregnancy is an emergency. You know what, if you don't feel good, it's an emergency. You know what, if you don't feel good about yourself, well, I want to be like the butterfly and I want to float through the, so I just got to take this purple pill and I'm going to feel better about myself instead of really looking in and being mindful of what's going on with your body. Pain, emotion, immune strength, all that. Do your exercises and support your neck. Is your pillow right? Is your chair right? You know what? Hey, do me a favor. I can't see. Lean over to a coworker. Is my head over my shoulders? Or your shoulder? They're going to think you're weird, but at least you'll know, right? Tell others, all right? So, really, the kids, man. My mom used to walk through the room, and she was like ahead of her time. Sit up straight, and I would. And then as soon as she would leave the room, I go, it feels better. Right? Not knowing I was out of alignment because I used to race BMX bicycles. That's how I got there with arthritis in my neck. I would crash on my head. This was before helmets. So that's how I was diagnosed at 17 with arthritis in my neck. And I was a chiropractor. For how long should we eat healthy?
Good life.
Forever.
Forever. For how long should we exercise? What is the best exercise, by the way?
Walking.
Walking.
Swimming?
Walking. Walking is the best cognitive function, gets rid of dementia, Parkinson's, all these things. You've got to do more than 9 miles a week. It's one of the best things out there. And a healthy diet. For how long should we get adjusted and maintain our spine? I love that. I forget where I heard it, but they said, if you don't take care of your spine, where are you going to live? Right? Don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? Right?
What'd you say, 9 miles a what?
9 miles a week. That's what you're shooting for.
I almost wrote down.
Less than that is not good. Okay, how's this person's spine?
Crooked.
Yeah, right? Look how crooked that spine is, not straight up top, is it? See how far forward the head is, even though there's some curve in the neck. So this is Chris, and Chris brought her 12-year-old daughter. Okay, this is Chris's spine. She's about 45. And so she brought her 12-year-old daughter in because her daughter's a swimmer and they injured her shoulder, and she hurt really good with shoulders and extremities. And so when I kept looking back at Chris because Chris had this look on her face, like you ever see somebody who's just like, they look exhausted, they look like they've just been punched in the eyes. I said, are you okay? And she goes, no, I just have a headache. And I said, is it migraine? And she said, yeah. I said, how long you had it? She said, about 15 years. I said, you've had a migraine for 15 years. Now, do you notice anything on this film? Can you guys see this? You know what that is? That's a morphine pump.
Whoa.
Directly
Directly.
into her
Whoa.
brain.
Wow.
So this pump actually pumps morphine into her brain. So she doesn't work. She hadn't worked in 12 years. She got divorced. She doesn't play with her kids. None of that stuff. And I said, they're putting morphine pumps in you before they would say, just go to a chiropractor, see if they can fix it, right? And all we did was fix her neck. She hasn't had a headache in 2 years. Like that. And
How
so
long
she's,
until the morphine pump was taken out?
and so they can't take it out once it's in, it's in.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, but they don't fill it, right?
Oh.
So she plays. She goes, yeah, I just got done doing, the groceries. I did all the landscaping outside, planted the flowers, went swimming with my daughter, and so her daughter got her mom back.
Wow.
So you never know what you may say or do out there when you guys are referring, telling others and taking this information out to others that will make someone's life completely different. I can't tell you how many people, last week, Ruth Afer said, she said to us, she goes, "You saved my life. I've had lower back pain for 5 years that I've been getting shots for. And with your adjustment," and she went from a size 12 to a size 6 in dress sizes, and from doing the cleanse, and her husband was here last week, he's doing the cleanse now. So you never know what you may say or do. It's really important. It's more than just, "I got my neck cracked, I'm a little looser." You know what I mean? And that's just the neck. When we get into the middle back plays on the neck. You're all connected. And so if my middle back is out, how am I doing? So we'll go over that. We're going to go over one of my favorite exercises next week. If you have people out there that you know, bring them in. I don't charge them to come to the workshops. And this is the way it should be. I appreciate you guys coming out. Any questions on what we've covered so far?
Oh, I did have a question. When you were talking about being able to go to one side more than the other,
Yes.
does it matter about that you're left or right-handed?
You have a
Arms
tendency to
or
be,
legged.
yeah, if you're right-handed, you're going to have a tendency to be tighter on the dominant side, but there's still no excuse. You know what I mean? So I have a tendency to be more powerful on my right side because I'm right side dominant, and I have more finesse on my left side. I want to catch the ball with my left. I want to throw the ball with my right. I want to drive with my left. I want to lift with my right. Very, very common. But we don't want to let that be something significant enough that I notice it, right? So, if I can go 80 degrees here and 90 here, I would give me 5 more degrees and I'll be happy. But all too often I'll see people creep it down to about 20 degrees. So, any other questions? Awesome. Anybody learn one thing here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic. Hey, I hope to see you guys next week for it. And we dodged the snow twice because in the last 3 years, every time we've done the cleanse, it snowed during that workshop. And it's usually at this time, for some reason, Tuesday at 6:30. It wants to snow. All right, I appreciate you guys coming. Have a great night.
Doc.
Good to see you, John.